Good morning, race fans. Welcome to round 13 of the Monster Energy Supercross, and we are making history today at Atlanta Motor Speedway, and we have a massive Supercross track on our hands for tonight's racing action. We are doing the virtual track walk presented by Dunlop Motorcycle Tires, and here to talk about the track, Brock Glover. What's up, Brock?
Nothing, Tyler. I can't believe, I'm kind of awestruck by this track and this facility in general, but it's, I haven't been here in 50, 40 years. There was an actual AMA National here at this track, but it was behind the race, the speedway. But this Supercross track is gigantic.
Yeah, no, absolutely massive. When I showed up, yesterday and, checking out the track today on like track viewing and stuff like that, this thing is absolutely massive in every shape and form. There is no, stone unturned as far as a future or a feature that is on a Supercross track other than a Dragon's Back, but we have everything else. We have step on, step off. We have two whoop sections. We have a triple. We have big full corners. We have 90-degree corners. This track absolutely has it all from start to finish.
I walked the track, and I swear, did I do a 5K or something? How long is this track? It's so at least a mile. It's got to be.
Yes, no, absolutely. I talked with the dirt work crew, and every aspect of this track is huge, including the square footage of the length of this track. 5,200 feet long from start to finish is the length of this track, including the obstacles, and over 13,000 yards of dirt to make this Supercross track. And just to put that in a little bit more of a perspective, is 6,000 yards of dirt is only the Supercross track that we see in Arlington a couple weeks ago.
And this corner right here, I just looked at it and go, it looks like a gigantic wave, something you'd find in Hawaii. That thing is twice as tall as a normal. I wish we could have a person standing there in the video, because it's got to be 8 feet or 10. I mean, it's gigantic, 8 or 10 feet tall. It's incredible.
Yeah, no, this track is phenomenal when you look at it as a whole entire Supercross track, and I cannot wait to see these guys qualify on it. So make sure you guys check out 9 a.m. Race Day Live and 3 p.m. on NBC. Make sure you guys tune in for the races. It's a little bit earlier scheduled than you guys are used to, but make sure you guys check it out, because this track is going to bring some bar-banging action here at Supercross.
Right now we're coming up to what it looked to me like we're almost progressively longer doubles. You have a double leading up into the finish line jump, and the finish line's got to be 60, 70 feet. And then from there, I noticed there's another double coming up here soon. That's got to be every bit of 75 feet. So it's got some fans are going to, sitting in the stadiums, are going to see some fantastic action shot there, big time air, 3 in a row. And man, it's just, like you said, 5,200 feet of track. I mean, that's at least, double a traditional Supercross track is somewhere in the, 2,200 to maybe at the long one would be 2,500. So this is something else.
Yeah, no, and when I was walking it yesterday, something that I kind of noticed as well, so this lane that is the closest to the track is not built on the even surface as you would think. So this lane all the way along the whole entire, finish line on the Atlanta Motor Speedway part, it is at sort of an angle, and then you can see the Dirt Works crew, working along, and that starts to flatten out through this chicane and over the C train and through the roller. So this whole side of the track is going to be a super fast section, and starts are going to be very, very important on this track, because after the start, there's only a few chicanes, and then it's going to be a big, long straightaway. So these riders are going to have to, put a lot of emphasis on the start. Supercross, you will always want to put emphasis, but even more so, just because see how long everything is and how fast everything is. If you're in first, you're going to just want that clean track and be sprinting all the way through that first lap. And then if you're in 15th, you might be, 6 or 7 or even 8 seconds back by the time you get to this other end of the track, just because everything is going to be so high speed in these first couple sections.
And here you come off that, we talked about the one chicane there after the finish line, sets of doubles. And then these are what I call like skippers, because they're a little bit of an angle, but they're whoops. And, you're just going to come through there flying, and the riders are going to be skipping across the tops of these. And here you go into a staggered, inside camelback there, and then on the outside might be a longer way around, but a little bit less of a jump. So it's going to be interesting to see which one turns out to be the fastest line here.
Yeah, no, the Rocky Mountain ATV banners, this section is going to be interesting just because it's going to be coming. You're going to have a lot of momentum coming into this bull corner, the farthest corner into turn one on the NASCAR track. And then they're going to be starting to go back the other way. So make sure you guys get your fantasy picks. Eli Tomac is going to be a good pick with the Daytona style Supercross track. This thing is, everything, but Daytona, because Daytona has really sand based. This dirt that here today is that traditional Atlanta red Georgia clay that we like to see in the Mercedes-Benz Stone. So this is going to have a little bit more harder base. And I think the track's actually going to be really good. With the bigger track is longer lap times, so less lap traffic, less time on every single corner. So I think the track is going to be phenomenal, give or take the weather that we're going to have, today. Hopefully the rain clouds and the winds kind of go around us. But if the rain can hold on and the wind can hold off, this track is going to be phenomenal.
It is, absolutely. So speaking of, length of track, lapped riders and things, as we go over this double here leading into another set of whoops. But what do you think here? I mean, with these, what do you think lap times? Are we looking at 135, 145 lap times? I mean, it's a long track.
Yeah, I'll be, paying close attention to practice like I always do, but I'm really thinking probably high 130s, so 137, 138s, and then maybe, going all the way up to 142, 143s. So, I'm saying right into that 5 to 6 second range. And, I was looking at the track, and I'll be looking at the track throughout the whole entire day of seeing how it develops. But with the high speed and, the long lap times, it's a lot of mental, toughness that you're going to have learning this track, charging this track. Because, as a rider, when you have such a long track and such a technical track, it takes some mental capacity to learn it and to just, be able to sprint the sections that you can sprint and then slow down the sections that you have to slow down. Like, we're coming to the end of our super fast portion of the track up and over this, Honda C-Train scrub roller, I would like to say, into the technical part of this Supercross track, where it's really going to be depending on hitting your marks, really getting through those rhythm sections clean.
Yeah, and a shout out to Shane for making it up there with the camera without falling down. Good job, because you could see how high we were. You could see the whole track from it.
And I think we're just looking. Yeah, no, that C-Train scrub roller is about 14, 15 feet tall. And, we're going right into this technical part of the track where it's going to be really Supercrossy through these next couple sections.
Yes, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how many laps the main event is. I mean, we could be a sub 15 lap main event with, 20 minutes plus one lap with those kind of lap times. So that does kind of play out better. I mean, some people have been complaining. I've, heard, too many lappers, too many, whatever it may be. Well, this track's going to be the opposite. We're not going to see lappers unless someone has a really catastrophic first couple of laps. You won't see lappers until way, way deep into the race. And so it's going to be, some flat out racing. As you said earlier, Tyler, that getting a good start's going to be important because the pace is going to be fast and furious. So if you're left in mid-pack trying to come through, it's not going to be an easy task.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then I want to pick your brain too, Brock, on a little bit of the tire selection. With it being outside and with the track being so fast, is there different tire options for these guys as far as like sidewalls and stuff like that to use? Or are they using like their standard Supercross tire, and are they changing the air pressure?
Well, that's a great question there. I mean, I think you're going to start with your standard setup and see how it feels to you. And then, being the fact that a lot of these guys do practice in southern Georgia, northern Florida, they're real used to this type of dirt. And from there, with the high speeds like this, when you're scrubbing jumps going 40, 50 miles an hour, like these guys are going to be going, they might want to increase the air pressure because at that point, you don't want the tire to feel too soft or maybe feel a little squirmy as you're putting so much pressure on it between the 30 pound motorcycle with another rider on there from 150 to 160, 70 pounds. You got a lot of force with the speed, the bike weight, and the rider weight on there. So you're probably going to go up a little bit on pressure. But then when you're faced with 3 sets of whoops like we're going through here, you know, that's where the guys tend to like the little bit of softer rear pressure. So it's going to be a challenge. You got to set up your bike where it's the best for the entire track, as opposed to just trying to pick 1 or 2 small obstacles. You got to look at the whole picture here.
No, that was very interesting, Brock, because the tires, I think, is going to be a big factor, and setup throughout this whole entire track is going to be huge, because you have the really fast sections where your suspension, you know, might be too stiff. And then you also have these really Supercross technical sections where you're going to have to set up that bike for as well. So it's going to be interesting and seeing who can, you know, get their bike set up and be feeling comfortable on this massive Supercross track we have on our hands today.
Yeah, you mentioned suspension. I mean, that's another area where the suspension technicians are going to have their hands full today, no question. And if Mother Nature rears an ugly side of herself, then we could get in some trouble where we've got a little bit of mud. And then, of course, then that's where the Dunlop tire guys get real busy. And, of course, the suspension guys are setting up their bike a little bit differently, too, because it just all depends. So, you know, we can all hope for no rain and just have this thing be perfect with a Dirtworks crew just applying water when necessary. But, you know, we are outdoors and you never know what's going to happen. So that's part of why we all love this sport.
Yeah, and we're coming up to the Fly Racing Supercross Triple. That's the standard 65 feet. And then we're kind of heading back towards, you know, turn 4, part of the track on the NASCAR racetrack. But another, you know, standard Supercross Triple obstacle going into another technical rhythm section right after it, where I'm kind of looking for maybe these riders going, you know, 3-3 or maybe 2-3 through it. And it's going to be interesting to see which riders can develop the right technique and just develop this track and really get comfortable on this whole entire track. I think you'll see a lot of riders in practice just trying to get laps in practice and not be really looking forward to get that top qualifying time, just to learn this track and get the flow of it. Just because it's such a long Supercross track, I don't think any of these guys have rode anything quite like this track so far. And I know in Supercross history, we've never had a Supercross track this long as well.
Yeah, again, I just, from the moment I started walking the track, I was just awestruck at the length and the time. And again, you know, a shout out to the whole track crew and everybody that's put in so much time to build a track like this. That's literally like building 2 Supercross tracks in one session because of all the, you know, the amount of dirt that was hauled in here. I think you said 13,000 cubic yards is incredible. It's, you know, almost 3 times what a normal Supercross track is. So just amazing. And you can see off to the right, everybody there is where they were hoping to be up is on that podium at the end of the night. But as we come into this corner here, you'll see the little knuckle on the inside, make people try to go the long way around. But we're going to see some, you know, opportunities for people to hit that inside real quick, because at this point right here, we're going right behind the starting gate. And then we do a little bit of a left-hander and then a right-hander. And then it heads out diagonally across the main, down the starting straightaway right here. So you're going to have a little bit of a breather for the riders.
Yeah, and let me ask you this. Like, do you think this track is going to be a little bit more beneficial to Ken Roczen, Cooper Webb, Eli Tomac? Like, who you think is going to be really, like, licking their chops, you know, walking this track and looking at this track throughout the day?
Well, that's a really good question, you know, and I always try to play, since you mentioned all Dunlop riders, I always try to be equal to all of them, play Switzerland and be very neutral. But, you know, a track that gets real technical and it doesn't take a lot of muscling, if you would. Ken Roczen always seems to come forth, you know, to the rise to the top there with his technical skills and throttle control. But again, it's a long track and a very fast track. And then you always say, well, Eli Tomac likes fast tracks. Okay, so he must be somebody to talk about. And then you go, but wait, Cooper Webb right now has that thing, that big mo on his side, and there's so much momentum. And a guy that puts in the last 4 or 5 laps like he does, and in this case, though, really at a track this size, it's just going to be the last couple of 2 or 3 laps. Man, is it hard to go against a guy like him. So the short answer to that, my long explanation is I have no idea, but I think it could be one of those 3 guys.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, those 3 competitors I wouldn't be surprised if any 3 of those guys would win this race. It's going to really depend on the start, who's going to be feeling comfortable that day, and, you know, who just gets out front, it seems like. But Cooper Webb has been that common denominator this season on, you know, going just 3 in a row, and Arlington having all the momentum, having 15 points lead in that championship over Ken Roxon. But you got to think with the 2 weeks off, Kenny has just been thinking about that points lead and just thinking about every which way he can get that points lead back. And then, you know, Eli Tomac, I feel like as soon as he has a little sense of confidence, we've seen it at Daytona, he has the speed and he has that switch where he can turn it on and he can be that top contender like we've seen him so many years in the past do, is just ride phenomenally and that's that step above his competitors. So it's going to be interesting to see who can flip that switch here at Atlanta Motor Speedway today.
And, you know, the one other guy we need to mention, too, is Justin Barsha. He's been getting good starts. He's really, really enjoying that Gas motorcycle and the Gas team he's riding for. And, you know, if he gets a good start here, he's going to be a handful, too. And as we come down the very, very opposite end, kind of in turn 4 of the Atlanta Speedway, we see it comes right into a bowl and right into some big beach sand right here. So, you know, this track wouldn't be complete without a big sand section. So as we see right here, we got it. And this is always a lot of fun. We see riders trying to get their momentum and the different lines that develop throughout the evening.
Yeah, no, and this sand is pure sand all the way to the floor. And this thing is going to get deep and they're going to be going to like 40 to 50 miles an hour through this section, carrying that 4th and 5th gear, just absolutely tapping out those 450s and then going back across that start straight. And that will complete our lap on our virtual track walk presented by Dunlop Motorcycle Tires. Make sure you guys catch us Tuesday. We have a race, another Supercross race 14 of the Monster Energy Supercross series. So make sure you guys catch us Tuesday. Thank you guys for watching the virtual track walk presented by Dunlop Motorcycle Tires. My name is Tyler Enticknap and Brock Glover's with me. Make sure you guys catch us Tuesday. Thank you guys for watching.